I was hoping that it wasn't true. Hopefully they mistaked him for somebody else. I was hoping all of these things. But what I did ask was my son, because they ask you questions like about the deceased. Do they have any distinctive markings? Anything like that to identify them, and to also make sure that they have the right person and that you are, related. So, of course I had to show ID. I told them that my son had a tattoo of his oldest child on one arm, and he had a tattoo of me, my name, on his arm. On the other arm, his grandmother's name. He also had a tattoo on his face of my daughter's name. It wasn't bad. He had tattoos kind of like Lil Wayne, so it didn't look horrific or anything like that. They were real subtle. And came the moment when I had to identify him. So what I opted to do was to identify him by tattoos. I didn't want to see his face. I just didn't want to see that. So they had him covered up, and they had his arm out, and it was him. There was no denying it. It was him. And what they did, they had him on a gurney, but they had the chairs where you sit. They had him pulled back to a point of where I couldn't grab him or touch him, because he was unalived. He still had to go to the coroner's, what they call a medical examiner. Still had to do a full investigation and all of that. So I wasn't allowed to touch him or anything like that. But at that moment, all I could do was tell him how proud I was of him, and I was going to miss him and what he meant to me. But for that split moment, I will be honest, I was upset, because I was like, God, why would you give me that little boy and then take him away from me? And I understand he was a grown man. I would have reeled it kind of like at a baby. But then again, I did get to spend, somewhat a lifetime with him. We grew up together. But it hurts. It hurts, guys. I miss him every day. There's not a day that goes by when I don't miss him. I think about him all the time. The only thing I can say is I don't cry like this anymore. Don't cry like this because I'm telling his story. And these are not sad tears. It's just that I will say I'm also grateful to be his mom. And no, we didn't always have the best relationship, but what parent does? I mean, no child is perfect. None. And if you sit here and lie and say your child is perfect, you're lying. You're lying. All children go through a trial and tribulation period. I had mine with his. He also was dealing with bipolar disorder. And we had our battles, but at the end of the day, he was mine. And literally, he's the one child that is the most like me. All of them have similar characteristics of me, but he was more of what you call my twin. And I really do miss him a lot. A lot. A lot. Good person. Humble person. Loved older people. Do anything for you. But yeah, I went to identify that body. Family members was waiting outside. And they could see it on my face. I didn't even want to talk anymore.